before?
I'll show you.
God damn it! Stop that! Oh, no, sir. No, not you.
What's your name, dirtbag?
Dirtbag?
Your name.
Mahoney, sir.
What the hell are you doing here?
I want to be a police officer.
What? I can't hear you. Don't unpack.
Time to get thrown out. What's your name, cadet?
Thompson, sir.
You live around here?
No, sir.
What's your telephone number, Thompson? Come on, eyes front telephone number.
555-2467, sir.
What in the hell are you doing?
Meeting women, sir.
Can you get my kitty cat over the drain?
No problem, ma'am.
Oh, no, wait!
Good evening. Welcome to this week's edition of the WayBack Movies podcast, a show where we review the best and not so best of 80s and 90s cinema, because really, fuck the 2000s. My name is Steve, and with me on this crazy journey,
Justin.
Doctor.
And
we're back. Well, half of me. Yeah, I warned you that my work schedule, quadrupled for the next few weeks, so yeah, I'm already feeling the effects of it.
so we're getting extra sleepy, Steve.
Yeah, and this week and next week and maybe even the week after. I don't know, man. I've been through some shit already, man. I'm fucking exhausted, so this is going to be interesting. Hopefully talking about the movie will wake me up, but I don't have high hopes, I'm not going to lie. So I apologize for my lack of energy going forward, but it is what it is. I work in a toy store at Christmas. Them's the breaks, you know what I mean? So I'm exhausted. But we are at least talking about a fun movie. We are talking about Police Academy, released March 22nd, 1984. So, yeah, it's a movie. I got nothing, man.
I think it's a little bit more than a movie.
To miss it?
Because you do the intros.
Yeah, but I don't talk through the whole thing. You speak once or twice. Fuck, leave me alone.
Also, this is fun for me.
Oh, fuck you. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Just jump right into it.
Sadistic motherfucker. Alright. Yeah, you're gonna get surly B a lot, too. So, yeah, let's just go to the fucking Wayback Machine. I hate my fucking life. Yay, pretend we're in 84. Ha ha ha. Fuck this. I fucking hate life right now, man. Shit. Yeah, okay.
Make it somewhat enjoyable for the listener.
Well, then don't leave me to fucking drown then.
Fair enough.
Alright. So, yes, like I said, we're talking about Police Academy. March 22nd, 1984. If you think I couldn't read before, this is going to be interesting. Directed by Hugh Wilson. Screenplay by Neil Israel, Pat Profitt, and Hugh Wilson. Story by Neil Israel and Pat Profitt. Produced by Paul Maslansky. Production company, The Ladd Company. Distributed by The Ladd Company and Warner Brothers Pictures. Box office of $149.8 million against a budget of $4.1 million. So made a couple bucks.
Somewhat profitable.
Yeah. So the cast is separated into cadets are Steve Guttenberg as Carrie Mahoney, Kim Cattrall as Karen Thompson, Bubba Smith is Moses Hightower, Donovan Scott is Leslie Barbara, Michael Winslow as Larvell Jones, Andrew Rubin as George Martin, David Graff as Eugene Tackleberry, Bruce Maller is Douglas Fackler, Marion Ramsey as Laverne Hooks, Brant Von Hoffman as Kyle Blanks, Scott Thompson as Chad Copeland. So the staff is G.W. Bailey is Lieutenant Thaddeus Harris, George Gaines is Commandant Eric Lassard, Leslie Esterbrook is Sergeant Debbie Callahan, George R. Robertson is Chief Henry J. Hurst, and a few others. Dibra Lee Scott as Mrs. Feckler, Ted Ross, Captain Reed, Doug Lennox is main bad guy. That's his name.
The dude at the end.
Georgina Spelvin is Hooker, and because that's what she is.
Not the Hooker even, just Hooker.
And Don Lake is Mr. Wig. So the production of this flick. Producer Paul Maslansky got the idea for the movie during production of The Right Stuff. He saw a group of police cadets arrive to help with crowd control for the filming of the street scene. When the cadets piled out of the buses to take their posts, they were diverse, men, women, tall, short, black, Asian, whatever. The cadets proved to be fumblingly inept at their assigned task of keeping members of the public away from the set. Maslansky witnessed an exasperated superior officer with a very red face chewing out two sputtering recruits, busily trying to rationalize their incompetence. Maslansky found it humorous, asking the sergeant, "Are these all going to be future San Francisco's finest?" The sergeant told him, "We have to take anyone who applies to the academy for training, but we can flunk them out in 2 weeks."
You've just given me a movie idea.
Pretty much. It started Maslansky thinking, what if they don't want to be flunked out? What if some guy or girl wants to stay in? That night, Paul wrote a 2-page treatment and gave it to executive producer Alan Ladd Jr., who loved the idea and agreed to develop the movie. Maslansky said he wondered, what if they actually made it? He took the idea... What the hell? Why is it doubled up? God, even my exhaustion. I doubled up the same thing, but in different words. That's why it fucked me up. Neil Israel was hired to write the script with Pat Proft. Israel said, Hugh Wilson was hired as director based on his success with WKRP in Cincinnati, even though he was not familiar with many films of the genre. He then saw a lot of those sort of movies and says, it was fairly discouraging. This immediately convinced me to cut down on the sleaze. I asked for, and got, the power to refine the Israel Proft script, maintaining that funny is money. I wanted to go for real laughter rather than going for the elements such as gratuitous sex and anti-establishment exploits. I wanted jokes which were rooted in reality. Maslansky says Wilson took a lot of the vulgarity out, some of the very things I considered necessary. I worried that it was becoming more homogenized, and I told Hugh, let's keep some of the flatulence in it. Wilson says, I found out that the shower scene, the party scene, and the fellatio scene were obligatory, so I had to put them in. So I was stuck with trying to make those scenes as artistic as possible. It's just,
I know it's the 80s, and I know we have to do this.
Yeah.
But do we have to do this?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. According to the Los Angeles Times, about 20 of the major elements in the movie remain from the Israel Proft version. Israel says that when Wilson and Maslansky turned in their rewrite to the Ladd Company, it was rejected and the project was almost shelved. Only when they put back in dozens of our gags did the project get a go-ahead. Some of the scenes Wilson was unhappy with included fellatio scene, as mentioned, and the scene where a police sergeant was hurled into the back of a horse. A compromise was reached where the acts were not actually shown. Which makes me wonder, what the fuck were they going to film? Like, how do you film the blowjob? You know what I mean?
Like, what do you mean, like, artfully?
No, they were saying, like, they kept it in, but they just didn't show the act of happening.
Well, because you can't, because then it's porn.
That's what I mean. He's saying, like, he agreed to do it as long as you didn't show it. I'm like, well, what were you going to show? How else were you going to film that? There's no way to film it other than what you did. Yeah. So strange. I realized that you can carry grossness, rudeness, and crudeness just so far before the audience finds it terribly repetitive and not so funny, said Wilson.
Not 1985.
Not at all. After the enormous success of Police Academy, I no longer believe that you have to show the female breast or make cruel ethnic jokes, not to mention the rampant sexism. And you don't have to reproduce the sounds that an overfed body makes. But you did. You showed sexism, you showed racism, you showed the gratuitous nudity. Not as much as some others, but you did do it. So you can't
at that beach party, women were just taking their tops off for no apparent reason.
I mean, yes, it was less than the average 80s comedy, but you still did it. I mean...
Is he, like, trying to take, like, a moral high ground of just, like,
know.
I mean, you don't have to do those things. I'm like, yeah, but you did do those things.
Yeah, I really don't know what he's talking about there, but he's saying it. I don't know. Billy Crystal, Tom Hanks, Michael Keaton, Bill Murray, Judge Reinhold, Jerry Seinfeld, Robin Williams, Bruce Willis, John Travolta, and Rick Moranis were considered for Mahoney.
Some of those, okay.
So, everybody.
Yeah.
You know, there's a handful, like Bruce Willis, no. Even though he was a comedy guy at that point, no.
Rick Moranis, no.
Michael Keaton, maybe.
Michael Keaton, maybe.
Bill Murray, no.
No.
Judge Reinhold, sure.
Maybe. Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld, no.
No.
Tom Hanks, sure. I'd see
when
that.
Was this, 85?
Yeah, he was comedy guy then. He was the Burbs. He was that. He could have done that.
Yeah. Some of those.
Some of them, yeah.
Although they went with who I, watching this movie, slowly discovered, I'm like, is Gutenberg 80s Ryan Reynolds?
Yes, he absolutely is.
Like the super goofball who's in super shape.
Yeah, in the 80s, the Goot was the fucking man. You know what I mean? Now it's just weird to look at him all buff and shit. You're like, yeah, this throws me off, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. While attending his audition, Steve Gutenberg wore an old police shirt belonging to his father, Stanley Gutenberg, who was a New York City police officer. Robert Conrad was offered the role of Commandant Lassard, but turned down the part, which he regretted later on, to the point that he took the part of police chief in the film Moving Violations, which was co-written and directed by Neil Israel.
Wasn't that Bill Murray brother? One of the Murray brothers movies?
I believe so, yeah. The role of Commandant Eric Lassard was originally written with Leslie Nielsen.
No fucking shit. Because I'm watching this movie going, well...
Why wasn't Leslie Nielsen
It's like
this guy?
it's arachnophobia all over again going, how come that lady's not Betty White?
Yeah. It's
how come this guy's not Leslie Nielsen?
Yeah, because basically they just hired Leslie Nielsen Jr. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so weird looking at this going, why the hell wasn't he? I mean, I like the guy that they have, but clearly that was Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That was such a strange point. And the cast commentaries revealed that Larvell Jones was not in the original script.
Dr. Monsignor.
Mm-hmm.
Larvell Jones.
The part was immediately written for Michael Winslow after Hugh Wilson and the casting director saw him open for Count Basie. Because you see that and you go, that's in the movie. Because, I mean, if you've ever seen his stand-up, he has a lot more than what you see in this movie. Like, the man is insane. I watched him do an entire 4 or 5 minute Jimi Hendrix guitar solo. Without a guitar.
Yep.
This man is incredible. Marion Ramsey says she came up with Hook's voice by reading the description of her character in the script and recalling the time she met Michael Jackson. The voice is a parody of him. No shit.
Yep.
She also recalls that in the moment where Hooks exclaims, "Don't move, dirtbag," the sound techs were used to recording her meek voice and were surprised when she said the lines so loud. So basically, she almost broke their shit. Ramsey was asked to wear a fat suit for her role as Hooks, with the idea that Hook's boot camp training would have rendered her slim by the end of the film. Due to time constraints, the scene showing Hooks after her weight loss was removed from the final cut. By the time the work on the sequel began, producers changed their minds, opting instead to have Marion remain wearing the fat suit in order to garner audience sympathy for her character. A brief shot of slim Hooks remains in the film, however, as a close-up of Marion without the fat suit is seen during the Graduates' March at the end of the film. I didn't even notice.
I didn't notice she had a fat suit.
She's not fat.
Suit? Oh,
yeah, she's
wow.
Not fat. No, she was never
that's
fat.
good work on the whoever made that suit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just thought that was her.
Yeah, no, she's
well done, everyone.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Well done.
David Graff had to choose between working on this film or Richard Benjamin's more critically acclaimed film, Racing with the Moon. When David initially read the Police Academy script, he thought it was trash. For 3 days, he sat and looked at the two scripts. Then, when Warner Brothers made him the offer, Graff said he knew which film was going to make money. Yeah, no shit.
Yep. And it's certainly not Racing with the Moon.
Never even heard of it.
Nope.
There's a reason for that. Though Doug Lennox's character is listed in the end credits as main bad guy, the script refers to the character as S.O.B.
That's not much better.
No. Opening scenes were shot in Toronto, Ontario.
Opening scenes.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. The camera booth scene was shot on the Burlington Canal Lift Bridge, southwest of Toronto. The Academy itself was previously the site of the Lakeshore Psychiatric Hospital in Etobicoke, and has since become the Lakeshore campus of Humber College. The studio scenes were shot at Lakeshore Film Studios. The city scenes were filmed in various parts of Toronto. I think the Lakeshore Film Studios has actually been renamed as Pinewood North. So an offshoot from the British one where they made Gotham City.
Kids know. I guarantee you kids don't even know.
No,
they go to that school that are like, this is Police Academy.
Kids today haven't seen Police Academy.
That's fair enough.
Which is why kids today suck. According to Gutenberg, the cast were allowed to improvise a little, but mostly had to stick to the script. When Hook says, "I'll bet there's a back door to this place," Marion Ramsey tries opening the door only to find it jammed. After several attempts, she finally succeeds in getting the door open. This was unplanned, but kept in the film. The hubcap falling off Feckler's car as it backs out of the driveway was also unplanned, which I'm like, how